Let's talk about something serious: fall protection. It's a huge deal because falls are the #1 killer on construction sites. We're going to go beyond the basic training today and dig into a critical OSHA rule about retraining. Because that little certification card in your wallet, it's not a permanent shield.
And I'm not exaggerating the stakes here. Let's be absolutely 100% clear about this. Falls are the #1 cause of death in the construction industry. Not number 2, not in the top 5, #1. So this isn't just about checking a box for compliance. It's about stopping the single most common way people get killed on the job.
So you sat through the class, maybe you even aced the test, and you got the certificate. You're all set. For life, right? Wrong. That's a huge, huge misconception. Thinking that one training session has you covered for every job, every scenario, forever, that is probably one of the most dangerous assumptions you can make.
Here's the reality. Construction sites are basically living things. I mean, they change constantly, right? What was safe on Monday might be a totally different hazard by Wednesday. Your first training is great. It builds a foundation. But there's no way it can predict every single situation you'll face down the road. And that's exactly why this retraining rule is so important.
Okay, let's break down the official rule. You see all this text, the regulation number. It can look a little intimidating. But the idea behind it is actually super simple. Your training has to keep up with the job. If the job site itself changes, if you get new equipment, or if it's just obvious someone's not getting it, you have to retrain. It's not a friendly suggestion, it's the law.
So how are you supposed to know when it's time for a refresher? Well, OSHA actually gives us 3 really clear triggers. Think of these as giant, flashing warning signs. If you see even one of them on your site, that's your signal. It means retraining is needed, and it's needed right now.
All right, let's dive into the first one: the workplace changes. This is all about the physical job site, the ground, the structure, the environment you're working in. A new hazard can pop up literally overnight, and if your crew isn't trained on it, all that knowledge from last year might not be enough to keep them safe.
So what does this actually look like on a job? Well, say you've been working on a low-slope roof, and now you're moving to a steep one. Boom, that's a trigger. Or the mechanical crew just cut a bunch of new holes in the floor. That's a trigger. Even moving into a new phase of the project, like going from foundation work to steel erection, introduces a whole new world of hazards. That calls for retraining.
Trigger number 2 is just as critical: any change in the fall protection equipment itself. You just can't toss a worker a new type of harness or a different lanyard and assume they know how to use it. Every piece of gear has its own quirks, its own inspection points, its own limits.
I mean, just look at the different types of gear here. A harness from one company can fit and adjust totally differently than one from another. Maybe the new job has a completely different kind of anchor system you've never seen before. Assuming all this equipment works the same way is a recipe for absolute disaster.
And finally, we get to trigger number 3. This one's the most personal. It's when you can see with your own 2 eyes that a worker's skills just aren't cutting it. These are the bright red flags that you can't ignore if you're paying attention.
So if you see a teammate walking around with a harness so loose it's about to fall off, or you see somebody tie off to a flimsy little pipe, that's not just a minor mistake. That is a direct signal that they fundamentally don't understand their training. And that requires an immediate stop to the work and immediate retraining. No questions asked.
Okay, all this talk is one thing, but let's look at what happens in the real world when these triggers are ignored. We're going to walk through a case study of a fall that was 100% preventable. It never should have happened.
Our story starts with an experienced worker. This wasn't some rookie on his first day. The guy had been around and he'd had fall protection training before. He shows up to a new job site, ready to get started.
And right here, this is the critical mistake. The new job used a different type of fall arrest system than the one he knew. Trigger number 2, a change in equipment, was staring them right in the face. But it was ignored. Nobody took the time to do a quick refresher on this specific new gear.
Because he wasn't trained on the new system's requirements, the worker made an assumption, a deadly one. He needed a place to tie off, he saw a pipe support nearby, and he just figured it was strong enough. He was guessing. It wasn't strong enough. Not even close. The moment he slipped and his weight hit the line, the pipe support just snapped. He fell 28 feet. He survived, but with severe, life-altering injuries. And that whole tragedy started the second that new equipment showed up without new training to go with it. You know, when you break it down like this, it's just so simple, it's frustrating. The root cause? They didn't retrain on the new gear. The prevention? Just retrain when the gear changes. It's right there in the rule book. Train your people to always verify their anchor points.
If there is one number, just one, that you burn into your brain from this whole explainer, please make it this one: 5,000 pounds. That is the absolute minimum force an anchor point for a personal fall arrest system has to be able to hold. It's not a guideline, it's a non-negotiable engineering requirement.
Okay, so let's lock this in. Pop quiz. An approved anchor point has to be able to support at least, what was it? That's right, 5,000 pounds. We're talking about the weight of a pickup truck. You never, ever tie off to anything unless you know it can hold that.
Now, it's really important to remember that this responsibility doesn't just fall on the individual worker. At the end of the day, OSHA places the legal duty for all of this squarely on the employer. They're the ones who have to build the safety program and make sure it's enforced.
An employer's job really breaks down into 4 key steps. First, they need to be actively looking for those 3 triggers we talked about. Second, they have to provide the actual training. Third, and this is a big one, they have to check that people actually get it, with a quiz or a hands-on demo. And fourth, they have to document that it all happened.
And this all leads to the most important takeaway for every single person on a job site, whether you're the new apprentice or the superintendent. Your life is more important than any deadline. No schedule is worth getting hurt or killed over. If you are ever unsure about your fall protection, you stop work, you stop everything, and you ask.
So I'll leave you with this question to take with you to work tomorrow. Take a good look around your job site. What's changed since your last safety meeting? Is there a new piece of gear? A new area you're working in? A new hazard? Finding that one change could be the first step to preventing the next fall.